Manchester City could unwittingly help Liverpool sign Mark Guehi after transfer. Twist Liverpool still have their eyes on signing Mark Guehi from Crystal Palace before the summer transfer window closes on Monday, and rivals Manchester City could help them. Manchester City defender Manuel Akanji has emerged as a target for Crystal Palace in a transfer which could help facilitate Mark Guehi's departure to Liverpool. Palace are scouring the market for central defenders in case Liverpool meet their valuation for Guehi before the summer transfer window closes on Monday. The Palace captain has entered the final year of his contract, and chairman Steve Parish has admitted they would have little option to sell now in order to avoid losing him for free next summer. Oliver Glasner has made it clear they won't sanction Guehi's departure before the second leg of their Conference League playoff against Fredrikstad on Thursday. But the deal could still be completed over the weekend if a compromise is found between Palace's £45 million valuation and Liverpool's of around £35 million. Alice have been linked with Rennes' Jeremy Jacquet and Toulouse's JD Canvot, and now Akanji is also on their radar. The Switzerland international has dropped behind Ruben Dias, John Stones, Josko Gvardiol and Nathan Ake in the pecking order at City and will be allowed to leave. Kanji has received interest from Galatasaray, but is yet to decide on his future. Palace are reportedly lining up a £15 million bid for the 30-year-old defender, who has 2 years remaining on his contract at City. It remains to be seen whether the move suits City and Akanji, who could also become a target for Bayer Leverkusen if Piero Hincapié leaves for Arsenal. Akanji has not played for City this season and was left out of the squad, which lost 2-0 to Tottenham on Saturday. Pep Guardiola tried to play down the significance of his absence, pointing out that İlkay Gundogan was also missing, but he has green-lighted Akanji's exit. Guardiola is known to favour a smaller squad and would let the versatile Swiss player leave after 3 years at the club. Palace manager Glasner pleaded publicly with the club's hierarchy after their 1-0 win over Fredrikstad on Thursday to keep Guehi. "We cannot register anyone, so we have to keep him," he told Channel 5. "We already rested Chris Richards and Ty Mitchell, who had small problems. There is no other choice than keeping Mark for these games. He knows it. Everybody knows it. If we want to compete in all of these competitions, we need players. That is pretty clear." Parish struck a different tone, however, after agreeing the £67.5 million sale of Ebereki Ease to Arsenal. "If Mark wants to sign a new contract, then he can stay," he said. "It's a difficult situation. Everyone has to sell players to comply with the rules. That's a situation that we will have to look at in the next 11 days. Manchester City might yet be forced to take Gianluigi Donnarumma and Ederson transfer gamble. Manchester City could buy and sell a goalkeeper before the end of the transfer window, but despite plenty of talk, the actual deals are no closer. It has been well over a month since Galatasaray's interest in signing Ederson from Manchester City first emerged, but as the clock ticks ever louder towards deadline day, the deal remains unresolved. Considering it looks like one of the simpler transfers, it is perplexing that it has dragged on so long. The 32-year-old has a year left on his contract, and Turkish tax laws will make personal teams relatively straightforward. City will want a decent fee for a goalkeeper who has shown his class in 372 appearances for the club, but Ederson's age and contract status usually indicate a fairly simple transfer. But that hasn't been the case. There has been plenty of noise around Ederson's future, particularly from Turkey, but the Brazilian remains a City player and was on the bench in the weekend's defeat to Tottenham. He could even be in the team to face Brighton on Sunday. After all, Pep Guardiola has spent all summer insisting he remains the club's number one. Despite the £27 million deal to sign James Trafford and the likelihood that Ederson will leave the Etihad at some point. Galatasaray have spoken to City about Ederson, but the delay in doing a deal seems unusual. It's hard to see how the two clubs can be that far apart in valuation, and when any potential transfer is announced, the Turkish giants will have to declare the fee and wages anyway. Should Ederson make that switch, then City are likely to move for 26-year-old Gianluigi Donnarumma. Donnarumma is expected to leave Paris Saint-Germain after being ostracised by Luis Enrique. But at the moment, neither deal is ready to go. That could still present City with a problem, especially with Stefan Ortega still at the club. The German was expected to leave after academy graduate Trafford returned to the club, but no move has yet materialised. That leaves City with 4 first-choice goalkeepers on their books at the moment, a less than ideal situation given Pep Guardiola's complaints about the size of his squad. Ortega is still likely to move on before Monday's 7 p.m. deadline. But that deadline could yet complicate the deals surrounding Ederson and Donnarumma. If Guardiola and football director Hugo Viana are desperate to take advantage of Donnarumma's dethroning in Paris, then he has to be signed by the evening of September 1st. The Turkish Super League transfer window doesn't close until September 11th, however. That gives Galatasaray plenty more time to seal a move for Ederson, having explored their goalkeeping options and also considered a move for Diogo Costa of Porto. Would City push ahead with the signing of Donnarumma and then hope Ederson goes to Turkey in the 10 days between the UK transfer window closing and the Turkish window shutting? It would be a risk, but they might yet have no option. Taking transfers down to the wire is unusual at the Etihad, but it is shaping up to be a chaotic end to the summer at City, and the goalkeepers could yet define it. Pep Guardiola adds 3 players to Manchester City squad ahead of Brighton. Manchester City manager Pep Guardiola has called up 3 academy forwards to training in a week, where the Blues head to Brighton. 3 Manchester City youngsters are training with the first team ahead of their Premier League trip to Brighton. Pep Guardiola asked for Ryan Heskey, Ryan McAdoo and Divine Mukasa as the Blues start preparations for Sunday's game. It meant that Ben Wilkinson was without the academy trio as the under-21s headed to Oldham in the EFL Trophy, with the game ending in a 5-1 win. However, it bodes well for the young attackers as they look to put themselves into the first team picture. Mukasa was the only youngster to be involved with the first team over summer after Guardiola made the decision not to take any academy players to the Club World Cup. With 4 summer signings through the door and a manager already unhappy at the bloated nature of his squad, the academy players missed out on their traditional chance to make an impact in pre-season. That is until Mukasa travelled with the squad to Palermo for their only pre-season friendly. Coming on for Erling Haaland in the final half hour, the 18-year-old playmaker came up with an assist for Tijani Reinders in an encouraging performance. Heskey, a 17-year-old who likes to operate on the left wing, is the second son of former Liverpool and England striker Emile, who was in the audience at boundary